Dreamfyre. Dreamfyre is a dragon that was hatched during the reign of King Aegon I Targaryen. This dragon was a she-dragon and was pale blue in color and had silver markings on her body. She had pale blue wings and silver crests. This dragon was soon bonded with the young princess, Rhaena Targaryen. Her father did not allow her to take the dragon with her during the royal process when Rhaena married her brother Aegon in 41 AC. After the king's death, Rhaena and her husband went to the King's Land when their uncle Maegor was away. She was finally reunited with her dragon. By that time, her husband claimed the dragon, Quicksilver, and they fled and raised an army to fight against their uncle, Maegor. When the war intensified, she and her daughters flew to Fair Isle with Dreamfyre. The residents of the Fair Isle got scared when the dragon laid multiple clutches of eggs. By seeing that Rhaena moved to Dragonstore and the eggs were hatched there, so many tragedies happened in her life that led to the death of her companions, and that also resulted in the loss of Arya. She scattered Arya's ashes from Dreamfyre. She continued to ride Dreamfyre until she was 73. Moondancer. Moondancer was a pale green dragon with horns, a crest, and wing bones of pearl. She was one of the quickest dragons that can be found in the Game of Thrones series. She was fast in the sky as well as on the ground. At first, Baela Targaryen was not able to mount the dragon and thought the dragon was not big enough to carry Baela on her back. But when she was 14 years old, she was able to mount the dragon. This dragon stayed with her rider at the Dragonstore for the first 2 years of the Dance of the Dragons. Baela took so much effort to mount the dragon. One day, she heard that Grey Ghost's body was found and thought that he might be killed by a dangerous and stronger dragon, the Cannibal. She wanted to hunt that dragon with the help of Moondancer. She thought that her small dragon could defeat this giant dragon. When the Castellan, Sir Robert Quince, came to know about this, he understood that it was dangerous and locked her in a room. When Aegon II attacked the Dragonstore, Baela escaped from the room. She ran to Moondancer and freed her. After that, she went to confront Aegon II, and a fierce battle started happening. After this fight, Moondancer was killed and eaten by Sunfyre, but Moondancer did cause some serious injuries to Sunfyre and it died in the last month. Tessarion. Tessarion was a she-dragon and was one of the most beautiful dragons in the series. Her crest, claws, and belly scales were in the color of bright beaten copper, and her wings were dark cobalt in color. What is more interesting is that her flames were also cobalt blue color. She was the youngest dragon during the time of the Dance of the Dragons. Tessarion was very quick and light in the air. It was on 120 AC that Prince Daeron Targaryen bonded with this dragon, even though he had not ridden her even once. Daeron rode Tessarion into the battle on the Honeywine during the Dance of the Dragons. This was to help Lord Ormond Hightower and his army win against Rhaenyra's forces. After that, at Tumbleton, they were encountered by the smaller army of Rhaenyra. Tessarion was allowed to fly free after this fight. She can be seen resting near the camp of Daeron. She was left to fight alone when her rider died during the Second Battle of Tumbleton. This fight got intense and Tessarion got severe injuries. After seeing her suffering, an archer shoots her to death to ease her pain. The Cannibal. Cannibal was a deep black dragon. We can say he was as dark as the coal. He also had bright, menacing green eyes. He was one of the 3 oldest and wildest dragons in the Dragonstore. He was seen feasting on the dead dragons, and the small folk of the island started calling him the Cannibal. He also ate dragon eggs and newborn dragons. Now, you may get a picture of the Cannibal in your mind. The exact age of the Cannibal is not known, but we all know that he is one of the oldest dragons. There are many stories about the Cannibal. Some say that he was there in the Dragonstore way before the Targaryens came there in 114 before Christ. But this does not have any proof. He lived in the cave of Dragmont and was very infamous for eating and attacking the smaller dragons. When the body of Grey Ghost was found, it was believed that it was the Cannibal who killed him. But that was not the truth. It was Sunfyre who killed the Grey Ghost. We all know that only some dragons survived the Dance of the Dragons, and Cannibal was one among them. It is said that after the dance, the Cannibal disappeared. Sheepstealer. Sheepstealer was an ugly mud-brown-colored dragon. This dragon is very ill-tempered and could attack humans if provoked. This dragon was described by the Grand Maester Munchen as a skinny brown girl on a skinny brown dragon. When Nettle bonded with this dragon, He was almost 50 years old. He was not claimed by anyone, since everyone thought that he was very wild. For many years, he lived in the caverns of the Dragonmont and hunted the sheep all across the region. Since he killed many would-be riders, everyone had a second thought while deciding on a Sheepstealer. But that was until a girl named Nettles tamed this dragon by feeding him the flesh of a freshly killed sheep. After that, they fought in the Battle of the Gullet and helped to capture King Landing. Sheepstealer then lived in the Dragon Pit. After that, Nettles and this dragon hunted Aemon Targaryen and his dragon. She was last seen flying over the Bay of Crabs when she was declared a traitor by Queen Rhaenyra. The local people in the Vale started worshipping a fire witch, and this was believed to be Nettles. It is said that the people who sent their young were asked to prove their bravery by facing the flames of Sheepstealer. This then inspired the burned men tradition. Grey Ghost. The Grey Ghost dragon was a very pale gray-white dragon. It was the color of the morning mist. He was considered a shy dragon. Since he was shy, he used to hide in the clouds and mist from the people. This is how he got his name. She was a fan of the meat of fish and can be found flying over the narrow sea. He used to live on the eastern side of the Dragonmont. This dragon did not have any rider, and it was one of the wildest dragons. Many riders tried to ride this dragon during the Dance of the Dragons, but never succeeded since it was very hard to catch. The crew of the ship Nassaria saw him fighting with another dragon in the sky at 1:30 AC, but he was eventually killed in that battle. Balerion. The wings and the scales of Balerion were black, and his fire was also black in color. But sometimes the fire also had swirls of red. When he had much strength, it is said that his fire was so powerful that it could melt stone and steel, and could also fuse sand into glass. Since Aegon's conquest, this dragon was considered the largest dragon among all the Targaryen dragons. The entire village is covered in shadows when he flies above it. That is how large his wings were. We also need to note that his teeth were similar to a sword. People said his teeth were as long as the sword. It is said that he is able to eat even a big hairy mammoth, or he could swallow an aurochs completely. From this, we could imagine his jaws and how wide it could open. Since he became very large after the 93rd AC, he was not able to fly. That is when the Prince Viserys Targaryen claimed this dragon, but he was very heavy to fly and struggled to do the same. We must say that he was not a beast. Vermithor. Vermithor is a bronze-colored dragon. It had great tan wings and was one of the largest dragons during 48 AC. At that time, only Balerion and Vhagar were larger than Vermithor during that time. What is more interesting is that Vermithor was almost 100 years old when the Dance of the Dragons happened. Anyone would be scared by the appearance of Vermithor. He was not that harmful. He was used to the interaction of the people. He also had a rider once. Since Vermithor was not that wild, he also accepted new riders. Vermithor could usually be seen coiled with Silverwing. Sunfyre. Sunfyre was a dragon that had shining gold scales. The scales were often compared to the shining of gold when the sun's light hit it. Sunfyre also had pale pink wing membranes. The golden flames of this dragon made him famous and attractive even more. It is said that Sunfyre is the most beautiful dragon that the world has ever seen. He was huge and heavy and had great strength when compared to his age. He was a great fighter as well. Even though the egg of Sunfyre was hatched on Dragonstore, the exact year of his birth was not known, but it is known to be older than Targaryen. Prince Aegon Targaryen claimed this dragon as his mount during the 120 AC. Caraxes. Caraxes was a huge red dragon. He was also very lean. He was fearsome and showed great strength during the battles. Since he was a very experienced dragon, he was very great at cunning. Caraxes was also one of the oldest dragons. Aemon Targaryen claimed Caraxes as his dragon during the 72nd AC. This dragon fought in the Fourth Dornish War, and also helped to defend Tarth in 92 AC from the invaders. But in 105 AC, Aemon's nephew, Daemon, claimed this dragon. Caraxes was severely injured in the Dance of the Dragons battle and fell into the God's Eye Lake. He reached the shore, but he died because of his serious injuries later. Silverwing. As the name suggests, Silverwing was described as a silvery dragon. She was not a cruel and wild dragon. She was considered a friendly and relatively docile dragon. She was seen coiling Vermithor. Alysanne Targaryen claimed this dragon during the 36th year after conquest. She flew in this dragon, and visited many important gatherings with this dragon. It was not just a dragon to Alysanne. She was very close with Silverwing. When Alysanne died in 100 AC, the dragon returned to the dragon store and remained there till the Dance of the Dragons. Drogon. Drogon was one of the largest dragons among the Daenerys Targaryen's dragons. The black scales of this dragon were slashed with the streaks of the vivid scarlet red. His eyes were in red color, and his horns and wings were also in red. His teeth were black, and the flame was also very red. It is said that the length of his wings is around 3 times that of his body. He was a wild dragon, and his wings would stretch 20 feet from tip to tip. This dragon is the most aggressive among the Daenerys 3 dragons. Seasmoke. Seasmoke is a pale silver-gray dragon. During the Dance of the Dragons, it was comparatively younger and was very nimbler in the air. Laenor Balerion bonded with this dragon in 101 AC. After the death of Laenor, the dragon remained in the dragon store for nearly a decade. The presence of Seasmoke can be seen in the battles of the Gullet and the fall of the King's Landing. Seasmoke was killed by Vermithor after the Battle of Tumbleton. These were the dragons in the Game of Thrones that left the audience on the edge by enhancing this show completely, especially the battle scenes. Which one was your favorite dragon from this series, and which one would you claim if you got a chance? Comment down your answers in the comment section below. If you enjoyed watching this video, make sure you show us your love by giving us a thumbs up. For more similar content, don't forget to subscribe to the channel.